Welcome to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Basics podcast, a lifestyle podcast with a magical twist. I'm your host, Caitlin May, and I'm a self-proclaimed Disney adult and childless millennial who is obsessed with Harry Potter, Florida Sunshine, and all things basic. Here on the podcast, I chat weekly about everything Disney, Harry Potter, theme park news, and navigating my basic late 20s life. Welcome back, Magical Basics. It's absolutely crazy that we are already in the second week of November. I decorated our apartment for Christmas last night, and it honestly feels so magical. So I would like to know if you have decorated your home already. Because in our house, we have this motto that we decorate for the holidays when Disney decorates for the holidays. So if anybody else feels that, let me know. But this week, our guest is so very special to me. We actually have my mom on the pod today to talk all about visiting Magic Kingdom when it opened and raising my family to love Disney. So first, let's get into the Bibbidi Bobbidi broadcast. We are starting on the West Coast this week with Spider-Man Web Slingers that has actually dropped its virtual queue. It will no longer be the default form of the line. In fact, it will be replaced by a standby line. But Disney has put out that they are basically keeping the virtual queue in their pocket for times that it would be used and it would be a better option than the standby line. So basically, it's going to be used as necessary. So this might not be the last time we see the virtual queue for Web Slingers. Turning our attention to international parks, Shanghai Disneyland actually suspended entry on October 31st after 33,000 plus people were quarantined in the park until all of them could be tested for COVID-19. Someone actually had tested positive on the 30th, the day before, and honestly, being locked in a Disney park is my dream. If that is too extreme, someone let me know, or let me know if you would be happy as a little clam right next to me. But since then, the park has reopened. Jordan Fisher is performing for Disney once again. This makes the ending of Happily Ever After sting a little less because I definitely have missed that buttery voice of his. He will actually be performing on the Disney Cruise Line float during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and he will be singing an original cruise line song titled Together We Set Sail. Gingerbread houses have returned to Walt Disney World. The Grand Floridian will be from November 10th through January 1st. The Beach Club, which is a Little Mermaid themed carousel, which John doesn't know this yet, but I may be planning to go visit it later this week because that just sounds so magical, and you guys know my affinity for the Little Mermaid. That one is running from November 1st through January 2nd, and then the Epcot America Pavilion will have one from November 26th through December 30th. Adventures by Disney just announced an all-new expedition cruise experience to the northernmost region of the Earth, the Arctic. Plus, families will also have opportunities to explore Antarctica and the Galapagos Islands with additional sailings to both destinations in 2023. As we all probably know, the Disney Wine and Dine race just took place a couple days ago. But did you know that Disney has added a brand new race? So from March 31st through April 30th, you can now compete in the Springtime Surprise Weekend with 3 new races: the Expedition Everest 5K, Race for the Taste 10K, and the Tower of Terror 10 miler. The 5K will actually take place during the nighttime and have a scavenger hunt included during the race. November 12th is Disney Plus Day at Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and Disneyland Paris. Lots of new titles will be dropping on the app, and Disney Plus subscribers will be able to enjoy different activities around the parks to celebrate the second anniversary of Disney Plus. The holidays have also begun in Universal Orlando. Grinchmas, Holiday Parade with Macy's, and Christmas at the Wizarding World will all be returning starting November 13th through January 3rd. Additionally, the Grinchmas Hula Day Spectacular will find a new home this year at the Blue Man Group Theater. And for our last piece of news, we're ending it with a basic one. You can now take a walk in Carrie Bradshaw's Manolo Blahniks. Sarah Jessica Parker and Airbnb are now letting you rent out Carrie Bradshaw's iconic brownstone with full closet access. And here's the kicker. It is just $23 a night. Now, this also includes a customized message from Sarah Jessica Parker, a photo shoot with a stylist, and a lot of other things. Part of this whole experience. So honestly, such a dream for any basic person that is obsessed with Sex and the City. Such a cool deal and experience. Definitely check it out if you're in the New York area. So that was it for the broadcast this week. I am so very excited for all of the Christmas news that we are talking about this week and for the next several weeks to come. I'm just feeling holly jolly lately. So I'm very excited for all of the festivities, but I am especially excited for you to listen to this episode. Honestly, it probably was the funniest episode we have recorded so far. Do you agree? Yeah, Jonathan is shaking his head. We laughed the whole time recording this episode, so I am so very glad and happy that you are finally listening to it. So without further ado, let's listen to my episode with my mom right after this quick break. Hello, Magical Basics. Have you been thinking about starting your own podcast, but you don't really know where to begin? I completely understand, because when Bibbidi Bobbidi Basics first launched, I felt the same exact way. Thank goodness I had Anchor to help me. If you've never heard of Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. I know what you're thinking. Katie, is it really that easy? Oh, it is. So let me tell you how. First, it's completely free. We love that. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And then Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's literally everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you so much to Anchor for sponsoring this episode. All right, today's guest is super special. She is the reason why we have this podcast, honestly. She instilled the love of Disney in me and my sister, who you've already heard from. She is also the woman who gave me life. So truly, without her, this podcast would not be a thing because I would not exist. So today we have my mom on the podcast. Mom, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for asking me to join you today.
I am super excited that you agreed to be on the pod, and I'm really excited to hear about just your personal relationship with Disney and kind of why you instilled the love of Disney in me and Brooke, who everyone has already heard from. Her episode has already gone up. So I'm excited that they listened to the me and Brooke episode and now they kind of get the behind the scenes of the me and you episode.
Yeah, that'll be cool for them to have a background to sort of see you guys through a different light.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would be fun to have an episode where we all three get together. Maybe when y'all come and visit.
That would be fun.
So let the people know who you are. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Renee, and I was born and raised in a small town in southwest Louisiana in what we call Cajun country. I still live there today. It's where I raised my kids. And I do accounting and financial planning work for a living. I've done that for the last 30 years. I was self-employed most of my life, so I was able to spend a lot of time with the kids as they grew up. And it left me a very flexible schedule because I was self-employed. So that's a good thing. And I still run my own firm. My favorite Disney character, if you want to get into that, is that what you want me to talk about? So my favorite Disney character
for sure. Let us know.
Is Mary Poppins, which Katie probably already said at some point in time. And yeah, so that's who I am.
I've had a couple people ask me, based off of the illustration for the logo of this season, why Mary Poppins is in it, because she's technically not a princess. But I chose all of the characters for the logo based on the people closest to me. So like Little Mermaid obviously is my favorite. Rapunzel, Jonathan's. Belle is Brooks. Tiana is from Louisiana like we are, so she's very special to us. And then Mary Poppins, because she's your favorite. So for anybody wondering why Mary Poppins is sitting there with a bunch of princesses, that's why, is because she's super special to our family, especially to Mom. But I have such good memories growing up watching that movie with you.
So Mary Poppins, is like the princess for adults, because when we were little, there was not all these Disney princesses. You have to remember that. They had Cinderella, obviously, but they, and Snow White, but that was basically it. The other ones didn't exist yet, or at least not out there where as a child we could see it. But we did have Mary Poppins, and we had Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And so we had Dick Van Dyke and that era of actors that we would, look to as our quote unquote princesses, back in that time. So that's probably why I have such a strong connection with her. And, she's just practically perfect in every way.
Absolutely. So would you say that that is your all-time favorite Disney film?
I don't know. I like The Lion King a lot. If I had a choice between the two, I would probably still watch Mary Poppins just because of the people aspect. But as far as animation goes, probably The Lion King. I mean, obviously, I've sat through a lot of Little Mermaid, through the years with you and all the other Disney movies. And there's probably not one of them that I would say, oh, I really don't want to see that again, or not many anyway. But I don't know. I just like Mary Poppins. I think it's, you've got to remember that was the first time that we saw animation and human acting intertwine. Now it's kind of commonplace, but when you put yourself back in, I was born in 1967, so I'm 4 years older than Disney World, right? But when you put yourself in that time frame in the early 1970s, there were no films like what you know as a film to be. And so to have animation in with real life acting was just head and shoulders above everything else.
Yeah, that's so true. So another thing that we love in our house is Harry Potter. Now, that hasn't always been the case, but I would say we're a pretty big Harry Potter family these days.
Well, my job as a parent is to protect my kids, and so I did that until they were old enough to make their own decisions, right? So Harry Potter, even though I still don't know the difference between Snipe and Snape, it's a good story. Like, kudos to J.K. Rowling for, is that her name? For writing such an imaginative tale. And then being able to put it into so many books. That's just incredible to me. And so from a literary standpoint, I think it's wonderful. Now, do I think some people take it a bit far? Probably. But I enjoy the movies. So, even though I don't understand a lot of it.
It's me. I'm the people who take it too far.
Well, maybe. Every now and then.
So with that being said, let's talk about your Hogwarts house.
I think you told me I'm Ravenclaw, but I don't remember why.
You are Ravenclaw. It is the house of wit and wisdom. They value learning and cleverness. Would you say that you really does that sound like you, or do you think that you would be a different one?
No, that's probably me. Yeah. As long as I'm not in the bad house.
I would say that's probably you too. There are no bad houses.
Oh yeah, the one with the little boy that's bad. I can't think of it right now.
Drake. You guys don't even know. Watching Harry Potter with my mom is like the funniest experience ever. Because you've seen these movies so many times, but you can never get everyone straight.
What's the bad house?
Slytherin,
yeah. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of know who everybody is now, but I just get confused sometimes with it.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we still love Harry Potter. Maybe I'll skip over all the Harry Potter questions.
I haven't watched it in a while, but I can probably answer some.
Okay, well, we'll see. Like I said, you can just say skip.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and we're going to see how many we can get through.
Okay.
All right. Disney film that makes you cry.
Lion King.
If you were Rapunzel, would you have trusted Flynn Rider?
No.
Who is your favorite Disney villain?
Oh, Cruella.
Your favorite Harry Potter character? Or the only one that you know?
No, I like Hermione. I kind of like that red-haired boy too, though.
Your favorite Ron Weasley. What is your favorite Disney park?
Magic Kingdom. Well, I really like Epcot too, though. But it would have to be Magic Kingdom because that was the first.
Have you ever watched a Disney movie in another language?
No, I can't speak any other languages.
Favorite Disney ride?
It's a Small World.
Least favorite Disney song?
Zippity Doo Dah.
What land do you start in Magic Kingdom?
We usually go to Fantasyland first because we have to get to Ariel before the crowd gets to her.
Facts. What Disney movie had the best message?
Mulan.
Your favorite Disney sequel?
My favorite Disney sequel? Skip. I don't know.
Okay. Well, that was the timer, but I don't want to end on a skip.
Oh.
So we'll do one last question. What is the saddest Disney death, in your opinion?
Oh, Mufasa.
Yeah, fair. That one wrecks me every time.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you had such a big affinity for The Lion King.
Oh, I like The Lion King. And I especially like The Lion King play or whatever you want to call it over at Animal Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like The Lion King.
Yes, that show's so good.
Like, I'll watch The Lion King by myself. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
My mind is blown. I didn't think I would learn something new about you today. Okay, so I really want to talk about your very first time at Disney.
So I was little, probably probably 7 or 8 years old. So it would have been like 1974. Well, no, let me think about this. So Uncle Gus was born in 75. So probably like 75 or 76. So the park was very new, right? It only opened in
It was like
1971.
3 or 4 years old.
Yeah. Fairly new. And Epcot was not even, wasn't even there. I mean, didn't exist. No golf ball.
Yeah, that was built in like 83 or something like
Yeah.
that.
So going to the park the first time was just, I mean, you know, you're a little kid. You've been watching The Wonderful World of Disney every Sunday night at 6:00, you know, for as long as you can remember on ABC. Because remember, we didn't have 24-hour movie or cartoon networks or anything like that. So when there was a special on TV or like a 30-minute cartoon coming on TV that wasn't a Saturday morning cartoon, which is all we had to watch, I mean, you set your clock to it, right? So we would watch The Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday afternoons and, you know, had become familiar with Snow White and things like that. So to be able to go to Magic Kingdom, oh my goodness, that was the end all be all of vacations at that particular time.
So what do you remember being most amazed with about Magic Kingdom?
As a kid, the castle. You know, you walk in and you're little, so everything's ginormous. And you just see that castle. And of course, we had never seen anything like that before. So, I mean, it literally was magical, you know, to be able to do that. Yeah. But now that I'm an adult and I've taken children there, and it's so different. And the experience is so different from what the experience was back in the early 70s when you would go, especially as a kid. You know, number one, it cost you a fortune to go. But, you know, just from the perspective of how you get in, you know, back then you had these little coupon books. They were about this big. And it was like you sell raffle tickets. It kind of looked like that, but it had colored tickets in it. And those tickets were for each ride. I think each person had a booklet, and you would get like 1 or 2 rides, maybe, you know, 2 rides on It's a Small World and 1 ride on Space Mountain or whatever. It wasn't all the same, if I remember right. And you had to tear that coupon out and you would hand that to the person as you walked in. And so once you used up your 2 tickets or your 1 ticket, that was it. It was over with. And, you know, so that's very different now that you don't have to do that. Or, I mean, if you want to sit and go on It's a Small World all day long and just go in the line over and over again, you can. You did not have that option back then. There were no fast passes. There was nothing like that. It was all hinged on that coupon. So, you know, I wish I had saved some of those coupons now, but we didn't know to do anything like that. I'm sure they would be worth a lot of money if you could have a book, but that's how you purchased a ticket. And you didn't buy tickets in advance. When you got to Magic Kingdom, you parked in whatever, it was still the iconic drive, like we drive from your house in through the gates. That's the original.
Sorry.
And you, would have to remember where you parked because they had the little tram that would come and pick you up.
Was it still the transportation center? Like, is that original?
Yes and no. So you always had the parking lot and the little tram system. And you would park, you know, like I said, Goofy, Pluto, Donald Duck. You had to remember where you were parked. The tram would come over there. You went to a station, to your one area in your parking zone, and you were picked up on the tram, and the tram would bring you back and forth to your parking spot. But there was no transportation center. They had the boat. You could either take the monorail to Magic Kingdom from the parking lot, or you could take the ferry. But that was it. The Grand Floridian and the Contemporary were there. I don't even know if the Polynesian was there. I don't remember that. It may have been, but obviously there was nothing else. You know, Fort Willard, none of that existed. It was, and there wasn't the inner workings of highways that there are now, because none of all that was just all trees And, you had the one main road in and one main road out, basically. But yeah, so you got yourself to Magic Kingdom, and then you went up to the ticket center and purchased your tickets. No bag checks, no scan your finger, nothing like that, because we didn't have to worry about those things. You could bring in whatever you wanted to the park, and you would get your stroller rental or whatever and your little map. You had to get the map. And those are the same. Once you got your ticket and you went through the corridor, and they, you didn't even show anything because you bought the ticket booklet. And once you bought that, then you could go into the park because you couldn't do anything unless you had your coupon booklet. And so then you would get your stroller or whatever. Like we had a young baby, so you would get the stroller for Uncle Gus, and then we would go on in, But you had to have the map, and you had to have more than one because, remember, there was no internet, so it wasn't like you were looking at an app to see where you were in the park. Everything hinged off of that map. And, by the time you folded, unfolded, and everything else, sometimes you would get messed up. Now, you and I have been there enough times that we could go in without a map, probably without our phone or our app if we didn't have to worry about fast passes. We know the land. We could get anywhere we needed to go and not have a problem. But back then, this was all foreign. Even the concept of a hub and spoke type of theme park was foreign. So it's not something that we had maybe been somewhere else and experienced and could kind of figure it out. This was just a totally different dynamic than anything else that we had experienced, prior.
Yeah, I remember watching that Imagineer documentary on Disney Plus and them talking about how revolutionary it was that Walt wanted it as a hub and spoke design.
It was definitely a genius idea. And did you watch the other night on Disney, I think it was on the 1st of October, they had their 50th anniversary special on ABC. It was a 2-hour presentation. And it was all about how he...
I didn't get to watch it.
Oh, you need to. You'll enjoy it. So it took you back to 1957 when he opened Disneyland, and the concept that he had for Magic Kingdom and how he obtained the land and all of that stuff in Florida. It's a great documentary about it. You'll enjoy it. You need to go watch.
Yeah, it's about to come on Disney Plus, so we were waiting for that.
Hey, I watched it the other night on ABC, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun to go back and think back and remember, all the milestones that they had. They had all of the old CEOs of Disney, Michael Eisner and Bob Iger and all those guys were on, and they interviewed them as they talked about their term and what changed during their tenures. So
that's cool. I know that it would be fascinating to me, but I bet it was even more cool for you because you have those memories of those things happening in real time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time we went, like I said, there was only Magic Kingdom. And then when we went back the next time, because we went several times as kids, we were very blessed that my dad liked to travel. My parents were willing to take us on a vacation every summer. And we went several times to Disney World. And so to see the growth was really, kind of cool. But I remember the time we got there and there was a golf ball. And we were like, oh my goodness, what is that thing? So going to Epcot was pretty fun too. Yeah. And just watching them build it through the years.
Yeah. For those listening, we do not call Spaceship Earth the golf ball out of disrespect. A couple people are like, don't call it the golf ball. But you have to know that that's what we called it growing up. And it's such a term of endearment in our family that it's it's the golf ball. I love the golf ball.
It is a golf ball. That's iconic. If you show that picture to anybody, they're going to know exactly where you are. And when you see it, it's like you are just, I have arrived, So, yeah. Oh, yeah. We love, don't get me wrong. I like the Spaceship Earth ride in it. I think that's pretty cool. And, some people think it's lame. I like it. But I do think it needs a little updating now. But anyway, but yeah, I think it's just, to imagine putting a giant sphere at the beginning of a park for no reason with a ride in it that goes 37 stories up or however tall it is. That's just, who does that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So the golf ball is not the only Disney park icon that our family has a tie to.
Correct. Yeah,
Tell us, because I've never shared this before with the listeners.
Oh, okay.
Tell us
So
what other Disney icon we're connected to.
So we owned a trucking company for 25 years. And one year, and I don't even remember when it was, but when they were building Animal Kingdom and the Tree of Life, it's steel. It's a steel erection inside there that holds the Tree of Life together. And we hauled flatbed loads of steel down there. Yeah. So that's our connection to Animal Kingdom. Mm-hmm.
Every time I walk into Animal Kingdom and I look at the tree, I'm like, dang, we did that.
Yeah, we didn't really do it.
I did not do anything at all, but
we hauled sheets of steel, but that's about all we did.
It's like my claim to fame.
Yeah, you're a little part of Disney in there.
Exactly. So speaking of that, we grew up obviously watching and loving Disney. Me and Brooke would not be where we're at today if Disney wasn't such a big part in our lives. And that honestly all started with you because you loved it so much and you shared that with us growing up. So I want to know why Disney is so important to you.
Well, I think from my childhood perspective, Disney was a happy place. You know, you didn't matter what happened at home because when you got to Disney, kids fight, don't get me wrong, but you just kind of lose yourself when you're at Disney. And truthfully, no matter how old you are, you can become a kid again whenever you get to Disney World. And so, for the most part, I had good, fond memories of the place. And so I knew that whenever I had children, obviously I was going to take them to the happiest place on earth. And, you guys grew up in a time where y'all really hit the pinnacle because Disney's movies at the time that you were born and even probably maybe even 10 years before that, but they just skyrocketed under Michael Eisner. I mean, he was just cranking out hit after hit after hit after hit. They were good, clean, classic family movies that you could watch with your children. You could let your children watch and not have to worry about anything inappropriate being said or seen or heard. And so, for those reasons, it was okay in my mind. That's a safe zone for me. And of course, you can tie it in by bringing you there and it comes to life. So what you guys were watching on TV or all of us together as a family, we could bring, and then it becomes to life. And there's a very small window when kids believe everything they see. And so in that window, the magic is just alive. And if you can get kids to Disney World before they lose that innocence, before they can, before they just don't believe, quote unquote, anymore, it just ties it to them. You have that because we took you when you were little, when things were still, and you were enamored by them because you thought Ariel that sat on the grotto was really Ariel, right? And so if you can link Disney at that point, then it's a forever link. It's a forever transaction. And so to me, that was important. Long after I'm gone, Disney's going to still be around.
Yeah, I was a guest on a podcast the other day and she was talking about just the whole episode for me was like my connection with Disney. Like it was her Disney episode. And so one of the questions that she asked me was like, well, why, you're almost 30 years old. Why do you have just like, you're like enamored with Disney? Why is it basically something that's almost your entire identity? And I told her the story of the first time that we went to Disney and I met Ariel. And I looked up at you and told you, I'm going to pee myself. Because I was at that age where I still had my innocence, and I thought that girl was the real Little Mermaid that I watched every day on our VHS player. And I think that's like a huge reason why it's so special to me, is because it reminds me of that time where magic was so alive in my life. But I would love to know why you think Disney transcends into people's lives, that in other aspects of their life, they're so greatly different from each other, but yet we all can still come to this happy place and have this one huge thing in common.
So whether we want to admit it as or not as adults, we all still have a little piece of our inner child in us. And it doesn't matter if you're 40 or 80. You know, sometimes you just get to where you belly laugh at something, you know. So we all have that little piece in us. Mm-hmm. And I think when we go to Disney World as an adult, we connect with that little piece of an inner child. It's a place for us to leave all the worries of the world behind us. It doesn't matter how much money we owe, how much work we have, whether we like our boss, whether we hate our coworkers. That makes no difference to us when you walk through those gates, right? It's all about having fun. Everybody's happy. You're never going to see a cast member in a bad mood. You're never going to get talked to ugly. There's no trash on the street. I mean, it's just the perfect place. And so I think it's a way that no matter who you are or what your background is or what walk of life you come from, you can come there and you can totally block out the rest of the world. And you can enjoy it, and it can be happy, and it's fun, and it makes good memories that you can delve back into later when things are not going so good at home. And you think, oh, if I could just eat a Mickey ear right now, the whole world would be made right. So I think that's why people, even into adulthood, choose to go to Disney World. And I use Disney World, you know, I may refer to Magic Kingdom, but the whole park. But for those of us who are older, mm-hmm. we would have experienced only that Magic Kingdom section.
Would you say that the parks nowadays are more or less magical than when you first visited them?
There is some magic that's lost when you grow up. I mean, obviously, I know the Little Mermaid is not really the Little Mermaid. If I see Mary Poppins, I know it's just a lady dressed up like Mary Poppins, right? So you do lose that magic. But I do think that there is an element of magic that is not there anymore because it's become so commercial. You know, you've got Hollywood Studios or whatever they call themselves now. You've got Disney Springs, which used to be the Art Institute or the Institute of Disney. Disney Institute, I think, was the name of it originally. And you've got Animal Kingdom that's all about the animals, and that's great, but that's not really magical. Like, you could go do a safari or a zoo and see those same animals.
Yeah, that's fair.
I could go down to Disney and not go to Animal Kingdom other than to see the Lion King show, and I would be okay. But I like the Lion King show.
That's like blasphemy to Jonathan.
Yeah, but you see, somebody like Jonathan loves Animal Kingdom because he likes that little lizard.
Yeah. Pascal. So last question, and I just got to tell you, when I sent you the questionnaire and I read your answer to this question had me rolling on the floor. You probably don't even remember.
Do
you know what question I'm talking about?
No. I did that a long time ago.
So our show is called Bibbidi Bobbidi Basics.
Yeah.
And I asked in the questionnaire, what is the most basic thing you've ever done? Do you remember what you answered?
No, what did I say?
You said, I don't know, question mark. Brush my teeth? Question mark.
I was fixing to say use the bathroom or take a bath, so I was still in the same frame of mind.
I'm kidding. I can't even handle it.
Well, what did you
know? Do you know what I mean when I ask basic?
Apparently not, if that's not the right answer.
So basic is like slang for someone liking something that's like too trendy. So like girls who love the autumn month, that's very basic of them, because like of course you like autumn, like be original basically. Does that make sense? Or like Starbucks. No, not clicking with you.
What do you really want to know?
I just wanted to know the most basic thing you've ever done. But if you don't understand the like concept of basic, then it'll be kind of hard for you to answer it.
Yeah, I always thought that was really a weird name for this thing, because I don't know what I don't. I thought you were just going to give people basic advice about going to Disney World.
I'm crying. That's the quote of the episode.
You're going to have to do a lot of editing.
I want to make you a recurring character on the podcast, and it's just like you, like your commentary of like trendy pop culture topics.
So you want me to say something that I did that would be like pop culture?
Well, no. So I'll answer the question for you. Probably the most basic thing you've ever done at Disney. We'll consolidate it down to Disney, okay? I think the most basic thing you've ever done in the parks is eat a Mickey ears at every turn and take a picture of it.
Okay. I just got a snack. I don't get the concept.
I know you don't. It's fine though. Is there something you would want to leave us?
What did Brooke answer?
This conversation about being basic has flopped.
What did Brooke answer to that?
Brooke answered her whole life is basic, and she said the most basic thing she's done in Disney is grab a coffee at Starbucks and take a picture with it in front of the castle.
So are you asking like something that would be very common? Like what's the most common thing that I've done that everybody else would do?
Basically, yes.
Well, you should have just said that.
You didn't have an...
So probably my most basic thing.
It to you.
So probably it would be taking a picture with the Walt Disney statue in front of the castle. Like everybody has to do that.
Fair.
See, I know what it is. You just don't know how to ask it to me.
Okay, let the record show that Renee knew what basic was. Katie just stinks at explaining things. Well, Mom, thank you so much for coming on the pod. I don't think I have laughed this hard in an episode yet.
Well, thanks for having me, Katie. And I hope you get to have me back again one day, because this was pretty fun.
Yes, absolutely. We need to do a episode with me, you, and Brooke. That would be iconic.
Sounds great. Love you.
All right. Love you too, Mom. Thanks for being on the pod.
Okay. See you later.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow the pod and let me know what you thought of today's episode. All of our links are in the show notes and description box down below. And if you're listening to today's episode, please give us a rate and review, and don't forget to include your Instagram handle to be featured as our basic of the week. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I upload new episodes on Wednesday and other videos for more Magic Mondays. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Until then, Basics, stay magical.